Welcome to your 10-day Jumpstart Your Health Challenge. My name is Doug Schmidt, and along with my wife Sherry, we're going to be guiding you through these 10 days. We're not doctors or in any medical profession. We are not nutritionists or dietitians, so you can take this presentation and our story for what it is worth. But with that being said, some of the things we share may save you or someone you care about from an early death. To give you a little background, Sherry has completed her certificate in plant-based nutrition from eCornell. And I am a teacher in Victor Central Schools. And for the past 3 years, my wife Sherry and I have led Jumpstarts in our district. And in January, we led a Jumpstart for 35 school districts and 1,300 people. As we begin, I would like you to think about this. If tomorrow your doctor told you in 6 months you would die of cancer, what would you change? What if you knew a year from now you'd have a heart attack and die? Would you make changes to your diet if you knew it would help? Americans suffer from a host of chronic diseases. The top 3 causes of death in America are from chronic disease. The sad thing is, in most cases, they are preventable and reversible. We all, at some point in our lives, have admitted this in some way, maybe not consciously. In your 20s, you think you're invincible. In your 30s, you expect to add a few pounds and maybe relax into a way of life. In your 40s, you're busy with your teenage kids. The last thing you think about is yourself and your health. Your health gets put on the back burner as the waistline increases and you move the belt a few more notches. I'm going to share a video with you, and then we'll talk about it when it's over.
What will your last 10 years look like? Will you be quick enough for a game of tag with your grandchild? Strong enough to embrace every moment? Will you grow old with vitality? Or get old with disease? It's time to decide.
We are living longer, but we are living those last years in poor health, requiring more and more costly prescription drugs to manage our chronic diseases. I've seen my parents age and pass, working into their 80s because they didn't account for the medications they had to take because of chronic diseases. I hope for myself a different path. 800,000 people die each and every year in the United States from heart disease. This is mainly caused by inflammation in our arteries in the form of plaques. They have found streaky deposits of fat in children's arteries as young as 10 years of age. It is safe to say that everyone who eats the standard American diet has coronary artery disease. It just hasn't been diagnosed yet. I haven't always been as healthy as I am now. I was another statistic of chronic disease. In 2008, at the age of 49, I had a heart attack. It was in my LAD, the lower anterior descending artery, also called the widowmaker. 90% of the people who have a heart attack in their LAD don't survive the event. I was one of the lucky 10%. We inherit more than our genetics from our parents. We also inherit our diet. Our tastes and eating habits started in the womb. It started with what our mothers ate. Our food choices are so ingrained in us, we are not even aware of them. This is a picture of my mom and dad. I've always remembered them being large people, but they weren't always large. What happened? We inherit our diet. And I thought I was just going to be like my parents. My parents were big, I was big. That's me on the right, just after my heart attack. My friends at work don't remember me that large. I weighed 225 pounds. Since going a whole food plant-based, I lost 60 pounds. I'm off of all medications, even a daily aspirin. My total cholesterol is 120. The picture on the bike is what I weigh in high school. 165 pounds. After I lost the weight, I had so much energy I couldn't sleep at night. I started taking up running just to tire me out a little bit. Last year, at the age of 58, I ran my first marathon and 2 half marathons. I can even fit into my Navy uniform I wore in my 20s. It took us 6 years to get where I am today. It doesn't need to take that long. I had to unlearn years of media hype and poor eating habits. Our goal is to help you reach your health goal without it taking years. Pills don't cure disease, they only manage the symptoms. When you get a stent, they place you on a battery of pills: a blood thinner to prevent clots, a statin to lower your cholesterol, a drug to lower blood pressure, and an ACE inhibitor to hopefully prevent future heart attacks. Also, a daily aspirin. I thought, these pills are for someone in their 70s. What are the long-term effects for someone in their 40s? I was never diagnosed with high blood pressure or high cholesterol. This is for one of the drugs I was on. It was called a statin. It's for lowering your cholesterol. The benefits are in red. The side effects are in black. So the benefits: lower blood pressure, prevent clots, supposed to lower cholesterol, prevent angina. And then all those side effects, plus these, plus this. Unbelievable. These last 2 pages were for the statin Crestor that I was on. That was the last one. It almost crippled me. It gave me generalized muscle weakness throughout my body. I had to get up and down stairs with a hiking pole because I had no strength. I felt like I was in my 90s, not in my 50s. After my heart attack, I was 48 with pills with adverse side effects. They wouldn't guarantee me that I would not have another episode. Could I regain my health? Could I get rid of the pills? Through research and lectures I've listened to, this was the bellwether statement that caused me to think differently about my course of health. These drugs were not going to cure my condition, just manage my symptoms till the disease progressed to a worse prognosis. Is that all there was? A slow, steady decline to the end? Taking pills with known side effects that might be worse than the disease itself. I could talk to you for hours on the benefits of eating a whole food plant-based diet. I can give you peer-reviewed research papers proving why this is the healthiest way for you to eat. I can tell you how hospitals have begun to change their patient meals over to whole food plant-based meals. I could tell you about IGF-1, insulin growth factor, and how it is in all meat and dairy and how it makes cancer grow. I could tell you about how a whole food plant-based diet can reverse almost every chronic disease, and yes, even prevent colon, prostate, and breast cancer. I could tell you how the 5 blue zones in the world where people consistently live to be 100 are predominantly plant-based or plant-leaning, which helps to account for their longevity. Instead, I want to talk about chronic disease. 80% of the deaths in America are due to chronic conditions. Most chronic conditions are preventable or reversible. There is evidence pointing that Alzheimer's and Parkinson's may be due in part to the standard American diet and the formation of plaques and inflammation in the arteries. Many people are on statins for high cholesterol, blood pressure medications, and diabetes medications, costly medications that cost everyone a lot of money. We can safely say 50% of your staff have or will have a chronic disease in their time working for you. Chronic diseases cannot be cured by medications. Medications only treat the symptoms, not the causes of chronic disease. You can halt the progression of chronic disease, or in many cases even heal yourself from a chronic disease, just by changing what you eat. Once you have one disease, you're more likely to get more. 25% of the population has 2 or more chronic conditions. These are the major chronic diseases. How inflammation manifests itself in your body can differ from person to person. For me, it was heart disease. Someone else it might be cancer, diabetes, or arthritis. My brother was just diagnosed with kidney disease, but refuses to believe that diet could contribute to it. And guys, just for the record, the first signs you may have blockages in your arteries is if you have ED, erectile dysfunction. It is the proverbial canary in a coal mine. The blood vessels are smaller down there, so you see the results there before you will ever have a heart attack or a stroke. You don't need a pill to fix ED. You need to treat the cause of ED. This is what America typically eats: 3 times the amount of protein we need. Fiber is almost non-existent in this diet, and the lack of fiber is one of the major causes of colon cancer and IBS in America. You only get fiber from plants. When I first had my heart attack, I found this book. It said, give up dairy, cheese, meat, and eggs, this doctor said. I said it was too extreme. Everything in moderation became my mantra. So I followed the American Heart Association diet, but only stricter. We moved to a small 8-acre farm, raised our own chickens, grew our own food. I skipped red meat, even though the American Heart Association said I could have lean cuts a few times a month. The American Heart Association said I could have 4 eggs a week. I had 2 in my omelet on Saturdays from my own chickens. A year later, I had a scare and was rushed from school on one of the last days in June to the hospital by ambulance. Lucky for me, the doctors didn't put any more stents in me. They said I had blockages, about 60% occluded, but instead of stenting, they said they would just wait. If the truth be known, coronary artery disease is a toothless paper tiger that need never ever exist. And if it does exist, it need never ever progress, is a quote by Dr. Esselstyn, who wrote the book, Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. I can't help but think about friends and family members who died from coronary artery disease, and it was preventable and reversible. This is what happens when you have coronary artery disease and change to a whole food plant-based diet. On the left was a patient of Dr. Esselstyn's. Came in, and you could see in the distal LAD there in November 96, how it looks all crimped and closed. That's our blockages in that artery. That's the lower anterior descending artery, just like I had my heart attack there. Instead of going in for surgery and getting a stent put in, he went on a whole food plant-based diet. The same heart. Almost 3 years later, you can see it looks healthy and normal. Many people have tried various diets to no avail. Most diet programs expect you to come back. They need you to come back because they need to make money. That is their business model. Keep you coming back, buying their food, their system. Eating healthy need not be complicated or expensive. It took us 6 years to get where we are. It doesn't need to take that long. Sherry and I want to help you find the healthier you. I don't expect people to eat like me, but for 10 days you can. If you follow the Jumpstart, it may change the way you think about your food choices. Potential results of the Jumpstart that we've had in the past: lowered total cholesterol up to 50 points, lowered blood pressure, lower glucose numbers, weight loss of 3 to 7 pounds, increased energy, better sleep, all in 10 days. A little caveat or warning here. Please, if you are on any prescription medicines, tell your doctor that you are going on this challenge for 10 days. Plant-based have natural analgesics that thin the blood. If medication is not monitored, it can put you in a precarious position, especially if you are on blood pressure medicine. Every participant will receive a copy of the Engine 2 7-Day Rescue Diet. This, though written by Rip Esselstyn, is based on the years of research by his dad, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. Who's Rip? Rip was a professional triathlete. And after being a triathlete, he became a firefighter. And he discovered that in his engine house, a lot of his firefighter comrades had high cholesterol. So he challenged them to a plant-based diet, and it became the Engine 2 diet. And he has helped hundreds and thousands of people with this. But he decided it didn't have to take 28 days to change the health, and he wrote the new book. Rip's father, Caldwell Esselstyn, is a famous surgeon at the Cleveland Clinic, and author of the book Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease. Our Challenges uses the book, the Engine 2 7-Day Rescue Diet Book by Rip. Why do we do it 10 days and not 7? 7 days will give you good results, but 10 will give you even better results. The book comes with great hearty recipes and also some great graphics to make it easier. Homework. Once you receive your book and before the challenge starts, please read pages 1 through 193. These pages hold all the science and research that explains why this is such a healthy way to eat. It'll help you understand whole food plant-based nutrition. Then, for the next 10 days, you'll eat only whole food plant-based meals. We've created a Facebook page for our group. It's called the Ontario 10-Day Jumpstart Your Health Challenge. This will be extremely helpful in answering your questions and connecting you with others who are taking the challenge. We'll also be having 3 Facebook Live sessions during the challenge to answer your questions and share other information. If you're not on Facebook, we'll also try to share the Facebook Live sessions with you on our YouTube page. Each day of the challenge, you'll receive a newsletter that'll have recipes, inspirational stories, and medical research about plant-based nutrition. So what is a whole food plant-based diet? Anything that comes from a plant: fruits, vegetables, grains, and legumes. You avoid all processed foods. Processed foods are heavy in salt, sugar, and fat. It is the only diet, not Weight Watchers, not Atkins, not Paleo, not Shakeology, that has peer-reviewed medical research that shows long-term cure rates of chronic diseases. The others may help you lose weight, but they won't help you fight disease. It is the only diet that's actually proven to reverse coronary artery disease. You'll also have no dairy, no yogurt, no white breads, no white pasta, only whole wheat or whole grain pasta. You can have whole grain everything. Brown rice pasta is great pasta to have. This is not a starvation diet. If you're hungry, eat. As long as it is a compliant food, eat. In fact, people say they feel guilty because they can eat so much. See, plants are nutrient dense with lots of vitamins, minerals, and fibers, yet they're not calorically dense. So you can eat a lot more and not gain, but also lose weight. It's the things you cook them in or add to them, like butter, frying in oil, or sour cream, that affects the nutritional value of food. You can see by this, potatoes are not an issue with minimally prepared. You could eat 3 baked potatoes and still not reach the calories of the French fries. This is a high-carb, low-fat diet. That's not a bad thing. Not all carbs are equal, though. Plants are where most of your vitamins and minerals come from. It is also the only place you get your fiber from. Fiber feeds your colon and your immune system. Only 3% of the population gets the minimum daily requirement of fiber. Our bodies process carbs for energy. That is why endurance athletes load up on carbs before a big race. I am asked this constantly. Americans eat more than 3 times the protein that they need. That is what is contributing to the rise in chronic diseases. With all that extra protein, we should all look like Arnold, but we don't. Do you know how much you need a day? The average 20-year-old man needs 56 grams, women 46 grams. Who tells you that you need protein? The meat and dairy industries. Why? To sell more of their products. This is my breakfast. I get almost half of my daily protein just from eating breakfast. Here is a chart that shows the killer diseases, heart disease and cancers, and in relation to unrefined plant foods. The countries with the highest amount of cancer and heart disease have consumed the least amount of plant foods, and you can see the change here. The people who eat the most animal protein have the most heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. This is T. Colin Campbell, Dr. T. Colin Campbell from Cornell, who did a famous research study called the China Study. He also did some research projects, and one of them was he did this test with mice, and he gave them protein in the form of cow's milk. And anytime the protein got up above 10%, these mice that were given cancer, the cancer would grow. When it got below 10%, the cancer stopped growing. He'd raise it above 10, it would grow. Below 10, it would stop. So he said, well, maybe it's just the milk. So he tried other things. He tried chicken, he tried beef, he tried fish. Same results. When they were fed animal protein above 10%, the cancer would grow. Under 10%, the cancer stopped growing. So he said, well, maybe it's just protein. So he gave them plant protein like soybeans and things. 10%, nothing happened. 20%, nothing happened. 30% plant-based protein, the cancer still didn't grow. This is an interesting chart. The American Diabetes Association, American Cancer Society, Susan G. Komen, and the American Heart Association, these are their sponsors. So if you take a look at their dietary recommendations, they will have a lot of their products in those dietary recommendations. This is Patrick Baboumian. He is the strongest man in Germany, and he is a plant-based eater. Nobody would call him weak. And just a little caveat or note here about the vegan term. Whole food plant-based nutrition is technically a vegan diet, but it doesn't make you vegan. There are a lot of unhealthy vegans out there. These are all vegan. Doesn't mean it's healthy. So you can be a whole food plant-based eater and be healthy, or you can be a vegan and be unhealthy. You might have heard of Kyrie Irving. He's switched to a plant-based diet. You've probably heard a lot of professional athletes have started switching over. And some of you might say, well, it's not the same kind of protein. Yes, you'd be right. Here is a 4-ounce piece of beef. Where are the vitamins, the fiber? The only thing you get from the meat is the protein. Yes, some iron, saturated fat, and cholesterol, and lots of IGF-1, insulin growth factor 1, which is in all meat and dairy. Cancer loves to feed on it. And don't believe your friend who says cholesterol doesn't affect your arteries. All you have to do is look at Bob Harper. You remember Bob Harper. He's the host and trainer on The Biggest Loser. He believed the hype about dietary cholesterol not being bad for you. He would put butter and coconut oil into his morning coffee. They call it bulletproof coffee. They should call it heart attack coffee. It ended with him on the operating table, his heart being shocked to bring him back from death. He says it's hereditary. He says he has lipoprotein A, something 1 in 5 people have. I'm one of those. So who's the biggest loser? Someone who refuses to believe diet can affect their health, or someone who takes charge and changes the habits that are killing them? Does this work? This is Jessica Bowen. At age 29, she had stage 3 invasive breast cancer. She did the chemo and radiation to no avail. She began her own research and saw the documentary Forks Over Knives. If you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix, Amazon Prime, and iTunes. See it. It's worth your time. She wrote to one of my favorite whole food plant-based docs, Dr. John McDougall, and began eating a whole food plant-based diet. She is now cancer-free and has lost over 92 pounds. This is Lainey Mulraith, and she wrote a book called My Plant-Based Journey. On the left is her at age 48. On the right, that's her at age 63. This is a friend that I work with, Jen Hall. She's a teacher. She lost over 100 pounds. This is Kitten Barbarossa. She lost 300 pounds. Lori and Ed, he lost 140, and she lost 150. This is Summer McGowan. She runs marathons, and she beat ulcerative colitis going plant-based. This is my friend Tim Kaufman. He was born with a genetic order called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. His joints are very loose and hypermobile. The excess weight was too much for his joints to handle. He was cast and fitted with expensive leg braces. He lost almost 200 pounds. He now runs marathons. Josh LaJohny, the boy from the bayou, grew up on everything fried. He played football in college, and after college he kept eating like he was still playing ball. He read a book called Finding Ultra by Rich Roll, who lost weight eating a plant-based diet. So Josh decided to try this way of eating. He started running, started losing weight. He is now an ultramarathoner, finishing a 100-mile race in Florida in under 24 hours. A year ago, in December, he was selected to be on the cover of Runner's World magazine. His family has lost over 1,000 pounds combined. He was recently in People's Magazine and on Good Morning America, along with Tim Kaufman. He started a Facebook group called the Missing Chins Club, where he helped 52 men lose over 4,000 pounds. You are your own cure. I know a teacher who's using it to heal from IBS, another healing her and her daughter's autoimmune issues. I know a teacher who's using this way of eating to halt the progression of macular degeneration. A vice principal, after 2 weeks, lost 19 pounds in an effort to halt the progression of his diabetes. Another to control her blood pressure and reduce her cholesterol. Nutrition is powerful. The human body wants to thrive. Its natural state is to thrive, not just exist. Even with all the abuse taken in with poor nutrition, it still wants to live. Please consider doing the Jump Start. If not for yourself, for your family. It's all in your hands, not your doctor's, not a health coach or some company's products. It's in your grocery store in the produce section. You are only one meal away from a healthier you. Step outside your comfort zone and see what true health can give you. Also, we recommend for you to get a true picture of how your health has changed in 10 days is to ask your doctor to have your blood work done for cholesterol and blood sugar right after the challenge. Tell your doctor you've made some changes to your eating habits and want to see the results. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. You can always contact us at eatplantslove@gmail.com.